Howdy howdy. Today I'll be talking about all of the DBT05 cards that have potential in premium. I did the same type of video for set 4 as an article on my website. I haven't been updating the website recently because I've been busy doing other stuff and I'd rather make videos at the moment. But if you are interested in seeing that, there is a link down in the description. And without further ado, let's just hop into it. So first will be Dragonic Overlord the End. Now, this will not do anything competitively for premium, but what this does do is allow people who are interested in playing Overlord be able to build the deck a lot cheaper because they reprinted the Legion DX. So you're able to Legion into this version of the End. Well, it won't be 3 attacks, but it will still be 2 attacks, and it can be very solid still. And in combination, you can have this be played with Dauntless Drive Dragon. So you can have a very similar type of turn with it by having your Legion ride over Dauntless, and then you Legion into the End. So then the End gives you 1 restand, and then Dauntless gives you another restand. Now, important to note, the End is the one that loses the drive, but if you are Legion with the X, it is the X performing the drive checks. So the minus drive that the End gets basically doesn't happen. So this is just a budget way for people wanting to play Overlord to be able to build a not completely terrible premium build. Next, Burninghorn Dragon. This card is one of the best ones in the set for premium. So on call, Counterblast 1, check top 7, add an Overlord to your hand. But if you didn't add anything, then you countercharge 1. So you either hit or you refund your cost, which is really nice. And then when your Vanguard with Overlord attacks, he gets plus 5k until end of turn. So Ignorode is also very similar to this, because whenever you play Ignorode, you check top 7 for specifically the X. And then if your Vanguard attacks and you have 4 less cards in hand, then he gets plus 5k for turn. So Burninghorn in the typical the X build is still... It basically allows you to run 8 copies of Ignorode. But in other variations of Overlord, it just gives you a really nice searcher for them, and it doesn't have the restriction of needing 4 less cards in your hand. So Burninghorn is very good. Next we have the new Blaster Blade. So on ride Counterblast, retire a rearguard. If you didn't retire, draw a card. Whenever you call it, Counterblast 1, retire a grade 2 or higher rearguard. A lot of the time this will be better than the V-Series Blaster Blade, because the V-Series one is more of a cost to get the retire off. So you're basically comparing its free crit versus the potential draw Blaster Blade gives you. And a lot of the time you will not be dumping enough rear guards into play for Blaster Blade to gain that crit. So the D-Series one is a more consistent and solid way of making the deck play smoother. Next, Skull Witch Nemain. So Nemain is very good. So one of the things going on in V Premium right now is with the new Ildana coming out, counting as a grade 1, combined with Nightmare Painter, you can put the Ildana from your drop zone into Soul, and then it counts as a grade 3 for the V-Series Luards. So then you're able to get the hyperscaling bonus crits that Drag Driver gives you. Nemain acts as another form of doing that, because whenever you call it, you Counterblast 1 per card from your hand into Soul and draw 2. So you can put a grade 3 into your Soul, and then that will count towards Luard, and you can accelerate it even faster that way. It's also base 5k, so the V-Series Nemain is able to search this one specifically out. So you'd probably run 3 V-Series ones and then 1 of the new one, because the V-Series ones can tutor this out anyway, so there's no point running more of these. But just having access to that for Luard decks and Phantom Blaster Overlord decks potentially is very good. Grade 3 Tamayor. So at the beginning of your ride phase, you get the skill, all of your front row units get plus 5k until end of turn. And then on attack, Counterblast 1, call a card from Soul onto rear. You can do that, or you can call the Twindall Twins. In order to talk about Tamayor, we also have to talk about her Blitz order that came with her, which is on play, you Soul Blast 2, and you give your Vanguard the skill. All of your opponent's front row units get minus 10k power until end of turn. So this is a better Shirayuki, because Shirayuki is give 3 units minus 10k until end of turn. This one is just a passive, give all front row units minus 10k. That stays around no matter if the units change. So defensively, this gives Dragon Empire decks potential to play a more tankier style of build. And having the ability to call stuff from Soul mid-battle phase can also change some combo potential with the decks. And then also, her first effect of giving you the skill, all of your front row units have +5. So even if you stride over this, you still have that effect on. So if you Persona Ride on this also, basically for the turn, your front row has +15k. So this can be very good in a deck like Murakumo, who can generate extra attacks, and then with Shirayuki also minusing more power off the opponent during your turn. And it can also be good in a deck like Nubatama, where the deck is able to bounce and call stuff from their hand onto the play a lot. So having the +15k this provides is very nice. And it lets you, with the new order, more smoothly transition into Rene plus Mizukage finishing turns. So this combination of cards is very good. I'm very interested to see what this does for Dragon Empire decks in the future. Next, we have the two new Thagreas. So I don't know if this will actually do anything, but in Royals and Shadows, they have Crystal Luster and Chain Ranker respectively. So you can get the Persona Rides off these and get all of the bonus effects still, while still potentially having the 3-card Guard District those two strides provide. And it really just depends on like what you're trying to do with the deck. So the Light Thagrea is able to give you at bare minimum 4 attacks, one of which being a rear guard. And then Dark Thagrea gives you 2 Vanguard swings instead. So this is like a budget Jewel Knight deck kinda, but it has a little bit more versatility on what it can do, because they can retire columns, they can call things from the top of the deck, they can stand rears, they can stand themselves. You have a lot of options this deck can do and go for. Next is Rora. Rora is very interesting. I've been trying it out a lot in Neonectar, and it's pretty fun for the most part, because Neonectar has multiple ways in their G-Guards to be able to call things during the opponent's turn. So you can call, let's say, Wisteria during the opponent's turn, and then you call 2 plant tokens, which you can use for Rora later on in the turn. But then you can also use Wisteria to search for Rora from your deck, so then you guarantee Persona Ride next turn. Or with the new stride Ladislava, you can target grade 3 and then add a Rora from your deck to your hand, so then you can still guarantee Persona Ride on your next turn. And then also, since he calls 3 plant tokens himself, you can use Sandrine during your turn and still be able to generate that 1 plant token Rora will give, while still having a very strong center column. Next, we'll go over the Dual Nation cards. So Raidalina is pretty interesting. It basically gives decks that lack ways to generate units, ways to create more units. And in a deck like Neonectar or Nubatama, where they play around with tokens a lot, this generates a token that both of those decks can use. And then in a deck like Lawkeeper, it's a very easy way to get another unit on the board. And then if you end up playing Rora Premium, Raidalina gives you access to more attacks during your turn that Neonectar decks tend to lack a lot of the time. Next, we have the Diaphragm Twins. So Ririmi is on call if you have Rarami in play. You Soul Blast 2 and put an opponent's rear guard in the soul. And then Rarami has, whenever you play it and you have Ririmi in play, you Soul Blast 2 and draw. And then they both have Glitter Tamayor. When retired from Guardian Circle, put them to soul. So this potentially is interesting in Pale Moon, because they are able to soul charge a lot anyway. So having access to that soul for Ririmi to be able to potentially become a Denial Griffin play in the future is very nice, but also Rarami converting that soul into extra cards in hand can make the deck potentially play more smoothly. And then with Tamayor itself in Premium, it gives the Tamayor deck that whatever clan's gonna build it is gonna build. It gives them basically 5 attacks at minimum. These are pretty interesting. I'm interested to see where these will go in Premium if they end up doing anything. Next, Mikani. So on call, Counter Blast 1, Soul Blast 1, choose the opponent's rear guard at the same grade as the card you Soul Blasted for this cost and retire it. So this gives Brantgate clans access to spot removal. So both Nova Grappler and Dimension Place really lacked this. And Dimension Place has multiple ways to be able to target search this out between all the grade 3 love the deck has, and then with the new G-Guard they have, which can add this back to hand. You just have a lot of access to this card in Dimension Place, and being able to get rid of really annoying rear guards is very helpful. And then Nova Grapplers, it can potentially remove Honolys if that's an issue that keeps popping up, but Novas don't really have a great way to target search this out other than through generic grade 3 searches. So this is mainly for Dimension Police, but I could totally see Nova Grapplers including this card into the deck. Next is Mothgr Maple. So Maple is a very interesting card. In Drop Zone, if your grade 3 or greater Vanguard is placed during your ride phase, if you don't have Maple in play already, you call it from drop. So this is very similar to how Usurper Dragon was in the last set, which I think was one of the most important cards in that set for premium. Maple does a lot of the same things as it, and some things better, some things worse. So this is a grade 2, so you basically get to create a grade 2 Interceptor every single turn with this, and you can put it into any Keter Sanctuary deck also. The only issue with this is that it's only during ride phase. So unlike what Usurper can do in Musketeers, where you superior ride Cecilia reverse during battle phase, and then you can call Usurper Dragon back out, Maple does not have that option. Maple gives you the option of just having a free unit, so in a deck like Neo Nectar, Maple is still useful because of the new Stride Ladislava, so you can Stride Ladislava, call Maple from your deck, and then have Ladislava target Maple, and then you can add 2 grade 2s from your deck to hand or field. And then they're both good in Order Colony, since you want a unit in the front row whenever you ride for Book to give it power. So if you ride Ruination, then you can call Maple or Usurper Dragon, and then the Book will give them power still. So all in all, good card. I imagine this will be a 1 of in some decks, maybe a 2 of, depending on if anything adds on to it. And it's just constant free resources you can get. I could also see this in a deck like Shadow Paladin, where they want to continuously sack rears for cost. So Maple is able to keep coming back as sack fodder for the deck to be able to do. Perforate Burner Dragon. So when discarded from hand during your battle phase, put in the soul, give a unit plus 5k until end of turn. This can be used in Overlord because you discard a lot during your battle phase anyway for cost to restand. For the end skill, the discard 3 cost is the one you do first, since it gives your Vanguard plus 10k till end of turn. So you basically get double value out of it. So you can discard Burner Dragon off it, and then it'll convert that 10k into plus 15k, and then this will also go to soul. So the deck has more access to soul, because Overlord can eat up a lot of soul if you're not careful. And then if you happen to have multiple of these in your hand whenever you do that, then it will continuously give more power to Overlord. So pretty okay card. I don't know if it'll end up seeing play in premium, but it's something to think about. Next is Stealth Fiend Forktail. So on call, check top 7, put a normal unit with stealth or glitter from among them to soul, and then shuffle the rest back. So this is very cool in specifically Hanzo. So Hanzo is able to cheat more Tasagaris into their soul with Forktail's existence. So then on your first stride turn or your grade 3 turn, you're able to use Tasagari more than once and have a lot stronger of a turn going into it. And I could potentially see this being used in a deck like Shiranui, where Obero V series wants more grade 3s than the soul, so Forktail is able to put them in there. So all in all, it gives the Ninja clans more access potentially to different cards in the deck and to accelerate their game plan. For Dark States, we have Amazing Frost. So on call, Soul Blast 1, draw 1, put a card from your hand into soul, and then if you have 8 or more different names, gain 5k for turn. If you have 10 or more different names, it gets 10k instead. So we don't care about the power bonus, we care about just the first part, where on play you Soul Blast 1, draw 1, put a card from hand into soul. So this is like Fuginlin for Dark Irregulars whenever Amon came out, and it gives them access to that same type of effect where you draw a card and put a card from your hand to soul. But this time you don't give the opponent the option to draw. but in a lot of decks, and specifically DI and potentially Pale Moon, you want specific cards in your soul a lot of the time. So Amazing Foss gives those decks access better to be able to put a card from their hand into soul and set up the turns a bit better. For Keter Sanctuary, we have Arthen. This might be the best card for premium in the set. So in front or rear guard, you give all of your different named cards from it resist, and then on attack, if you persona mode, this unit gains 5k until end of turn. So this gives a lot of Keter decks the ability to give the field protection against the opponent's field. So against decks with a lot of board wipes like Stunverse or, yeah, mainly Stunverse, this guy can protect your board from it, but it can also save your field from potential Denial Griffin plays because they cannot choose your units. It basically gives every Keter Sanctuary deck a Guns Dawn where it protects your field and allows you to get your combos off more effectively and easily. For Stoichio, we have Prod Pollen Rafflois, yeah? So on call, Cablast 1, call 2 plant tokens. So in the Enos deck that I posted about a week ago, this card basically acts as a card for 3 calls. So it gives Enos plus 15k during the opponent's turn. But also in every other deck, it gives them access to a solid early game. Since if you call this, you get 2 5k boosters off of it also. So you can make an aggressive turn out of nothing with this, and it works very nicely in a lot of aggressive decks. Next we have Axia Sticky. So act once per turn, Cablast 1, retire 2 other Rios, draw 1, he gets plus 5k until end of turn. So in a deck like Neo Nectar or Grand Blue, you might have a bunch of clutter on your field. So Axia Sticky can remove some of that clutter and turn it into card advantage into your hand. And then he also just becomes a 13k beater. So it gives those decks easier access to dig through the deck and remove excess cards they might want in their drop zone or don't want to keep in play at all. To the rares, so for Dragon Empire we have Tsumugi. So on call, Soul Blast 1, put a normal unit with stealth in its card name or glitter from your drop into your soul. So this is like Forktail, except with this you can more easily set it up because Forktail is mostly RNG if you hit the unit you need. With Tsumugi, if you see the card you want in soul early on, you can guard with it, and then you call Tsumugi and then Soul Blast 1 and put that card you guarded with into soul. So if you have extra Tasagores, if you have extra Shiwanuis, you're able to put them into your soul and get them ramping up a lot quicker. For Dark States, we have Flaming Pony. So while in soul, you combine it Soul Charge 2. So it acts like a Dimension Creeper basically. So now Darky regular decks can run 12 Dimension Creepers in the deck if they really wanted to, but it's just an extra option for the future. Obliging Monster Secondal. So if you are a deck that's really piece reliant on having specific cards in your deck, then this is a very easy way to put those cards back into your deck. In all the current builds right now for Brantgate, there is not really anything you'd want for premium to where this would be super effective in that. But potentially if there's a deck in the future that needs a specific unit, let's say, in your deck, then this can continuously put that unit back into your deck. Excavation Dragon Bario Dignial. So end of battle attacks, you put into soul, give a rearguard +5. So this can be good in the spots Tribash was potentially good. So like Dauntless Waterfall would like this because it's not nearly as restrictive. There's no restrictions on it other than you need to attack with it, while Tribash needed your opponent to have 2 or less rears. So having this be able to put more grade 3s into your soul in certain builds might come up. So main one I'm thinking about is Dauntless Waterfall. So then you can have 2 grade 3s during your waterfall turn to be able to get Waterfall's effect off twice, basically. Stealth Dragon Hadenreso. So this can just become a 19k beater in decks where the Vanguard calls stuff. So Murakumo can do this, Nubatama can do this mid-battle phase. So if you just need extra beaters in your deck, this could come up. I don't really see it doing that though, but just an option. And the last one is Aiding Monster Tectian. So whenever you discard it from your hand during your turn, check top 5, add a set order into your hand, and shuffle the rest back. So if there becomes a Brantgate deck in the future that becomes good in Premium and is very reliant on set orders to do so, then this gives you a way to search for those set orders a bit easier. And that is it. So a lot of interesting cards this set, and I'm very excited to be trying some of them out. So yeah, hope you all enjoyed this video. Hope I inspired you to try some new cards out, and I will see you guys in the next one.